Thank you again for letting me join you. An animancer never misses an opportunity to embrace the unknown. Still, being an animancer feels different without Fior Messiverno. For the first time, I don't have to prove myself to anyone. It'll take some getting used to, that's for sure. At least now I have a place I can call my own. Good, because I have a lot of research to do, and this could take a while. Not to change the topic, but this little adventure of ours, will it be dangerous? A little bit of trouble in moderation can be good for the soul. My mother and father taught me how to defend myself, among other things. When you need me, I'll be ready. I hope so, anyway. Go on, then. I'm listening. Ah, you want a story? Very well. Settle in. It all started about 50 years ago, in the great city of Spirento. A young nobleman by the name of Maxim Vidaro sought to inherit a distinguished government position. Unfortunately, yes. A distant cousin cheated Maxim out of the title. He was devastated, his political future uncertain. No one lifted a finger to help. Not the banks, not the merchants, or the politicians. So, Maxim did what Valians do best. Something like that. Maxim plotted his revenge. They say he prayed to Scan, the effigy, god of rebellion and defiance, to ask for a blessing. And Scan answered. Take their best and brightest, their heirs, their scholars, their futures, to the far side of the world, never to return. And Maxim did just that. He gathered a following and left the Valian republics, giving thanks to his dark god. We prefer to call it an intellectual haven of free thinkers, but it's true that most of us are animancers. Spirento was full of animancers, many of them in debt, and Maxim was a wealthy patron. They needed each other. So the animancers followed Maxim all the way out here, including my parents, Quilici, and others around town. At the time, this place was an animancer's dream. No oversight, limited government, and soil rich with essence. 40 years later, Maxim vanished. They say the effigy came to collect his soul. Nonsense, of course. His son has been in charge ever since. For better or worse. I have good reason to be critical, but I also know his life isn't as easy as it looks. He and I might squabble in public from time to time, but we're both just figuring it all out as we go. Thanks for listening. We should do this again.
I love a good ghost story. Just not the dreams I have afterwards.
Hadn't heard all that before. Probably a lesson or two in there.
One of these days you'll have to tell me an Adiran ghost story. You learn a lot about people by what scares them. Let me think. Quilici has a girlfriend, as cute as a button, and as smart as an archmage. That isn't a secret, I'm just happy for him. Have you heard of the incident at Beldereno Pass? 20 settlers lost their lives in a winter storm. Ever since, people have heard ghostly cries from a nearby cave. Fascinating, isn't it? Tragic, of course, but fascinating. Sorry to disappoint you, but I haven't heard anything new of late. Being an outcast means being out of the loop. What are you so curious about? Anyone in particular? I warn you, I'm not the best judge of first impressions. Kai is a useful fellow. We need people like him to keep you grounded. Just not too grounded. On the surface, Kai is all charm and confidence. You feel good knowing he's around. But there's something deeper. Something in his core that he guards from everyone. Maybe even himself. Oh, not at all. Kai is a sweetheart. And if that's who he chooses to show us, then that's who he is. If there's another side to him, he'll show us when he's good and ready. No need to rush a natural process. Marius is working through something. An old wound that hasn't healed. A search for forgiveness? Who knows? He's a tough fellow, but I wouldn't put too much pressure on him. Good question. Mental and emotional pressure, specifically. Marius could hunt the great western stag if he set his mind to it, but his own feelings elude him. When he wants to find himself, give him room to do so, but don't push him. Just be there to catch him. We haven't been together long, but I think I have you figured out. In Paradise, you handed your killer to the steel garrote. Much like tossing meat to a pack of wolves. Vior Messiverno tolerates you well enough. No doubt thanks to my influence. Of course, all I know is what you've done. You may not think these choices reflect who you are. At the end of the day, you shouldn't care what anyone thinks. All that matters is how you see yourself. I've spilled all the gossip I know. Ask me again when there's a new face in camp. I suppose you deserve to know, after what I put you through. My mother wanted to expand Fior's agriculture. Feeding Emerald Stair wasn't ambitious enough. She wanted to feed the world. She thought she could break the wilderness, using animancy as the whip. Turn the living lands into a garden. Anything's possible, but there are significant problems to overcome. After my father put the finishing touches on the phantasmal focus, she was impatient to get started. After all, whoever controls the spirit of the living lands has nature in the palm of their hand. My father thought so too. Emerald Stair was just the beginning to her. My father thought she was brilliant. Others thought she was mad. I think she was a victim of her own ambition. She wanted so much and there was so little time to achieve it. Theoretically, her plan should have worked. But the living lands had other ideas. When she used the phantasmal focus, theory collided with reality. Everything went wrong. I can't rule anything out, but I suspect the Dream Scourge had something to do with it. It lives in the essence of the living lands, corrupting whatever it touches. And if I'm right, that means it's been here a long time, or the forces behind it. I was 17. That makes it... Gods, has it been 13 years already? After they died, I wouldn't go near a lab. It was ages before Quilici got me to crack open a book. I have a lot of catching up to do in my studies. Need to make up for lost time. No. To my knowledge, the accident was no everyday occurrence. But neither was the experiment. My mother transgressed on nature, on existence itself. Still, I don't understand what went wrong. When I do, then I can finish her work. My mother and father didn't know the risks, and I can't stop thinking about them. Caution and experience will stop us from repeating their mistakes. That's all I care to say for now. At least, about this topic. I thought my family's research could help Emerald Stair. That it could banish the Dream Scourge from our lands. Of course, Vidaro wouldn't even give me a chance. He was afraid of history repeating itself. Still, I'm hopeful. This legacy of mine could change animancy as we know it. And something tells me I'm close to a breakthrough. Closer than my mother ever got. Good question. The idea of finishing my parents' work gives me a warm feeling. But do I want it? I know I've got one lifetime, and I want to do something with it. I'm glad you think so. Not that I need your approval, but I like knowing that I have it. This is the one life where I am Giada Castel, animancer extraordinaire. In the next life, I could be an idiotic tree. I have an obligation to use the time I have. No animancer has engineered an ecosystem before. Maybe, with a little luck, I could be the first. That little island off of Dawnshore? None that I know of. Ignato Castel led the Valian trading company in the Deadfire archipelago. Among other things, he invested in the future of animancy, and apparently he had interests here. I hope not. I wouldn't want my family associated with speculation, corruption, and whatever else happened in the Deadfire. We have enough problems already. He had some ideas about moving great distances in the blink of an eye. As far as I know, he was unsuccessful. Animancy and ambition are a dangerous mixture. Intoxicating, but dangerous. Afraid not. I've heard a lot of contradictory stories coming out of the Deadfire in recent years. Some say Castel is still in power, while others think his second-in-command took over the Valian trading company. You know how it is. Wherever there's conflict, there's bound to be misinformation. Unfortunately, that's all I know. Whether or not Castel succeeded, I don't think it's folly to dream. Now that you mention it, I did try and awaken my soul, to become fully aware of my past lives. Every animancer tries, and fails. It's practically a rite of passage. So, one evening, I crept into the workshop and cobbled an invention together from spare parts. Amateur work. Then I turned it on. Big mistake. The next thing I knew, it was morning. I was floating in the fountain, and my head was pounding like a drum.
You don't need animancy for that. Just rum and a crew on shore leave.
That answers a lot of questions, honestly.
Sometimes I wonder, what if it actually worked? What if all of this happened before, and I'm just reliving the events of a past life? I try not to think about it too much. A simple question with a very complicated answer. The device is attuned to the spiritual energy of the living lands, much like a compass to magnetic north. But essence is chaotic by nature. As you saw with your own eyes, imposing order on chaos is not without risk. Indeed. Don't get me wrong, this invention is a small miracle, but it isn't enough. The phantasmal focus was supposed to be the start of something grand, one lever of a device that exists only in theory. Perhaps it should remain that way. You know me, always ready with an answer. Let me think. Sorry to disappoint you, but I haven't heard anything new of late. Being an outcast means being out of the loop. What do you want to know? Anything in particular? What are you so curious about? Not before I've done some reading.
Envoy? Hard to imagine what Giada's going through right now, with her parents and all that. I mean, I have no idea what actually happened there, but she lost her people. She'll need time to get past that. And she deserves it. Right, changing the subject. Right. I'm sure you'll find it absolutely gripping. Go ahead. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Giada's a mystery to me. Animancers give me the vricus, and for good reason. Most of them would just as soon turn your soul into jewelry as look at you. Giada seems different. She's smart, thoughtful, and she's got a spine, too. You can tell when someone needs extra help out here, and she doesn't. So, yeah, I don't understand her, but I guess I don't have to, really. Ask away. There is something big in the southeast of the region. Most hunters say to stay away from there. Let's see. Less urgency for shelter here. You can find shrubs to block the wind or tree cover to protect from rain. There's also plenty of food around too, if you know where to look. Rule of thumb, if it's red, don't eat it. Or if it makes you itch. There's also just about any kind of game you can imagine. Just make sure whatever you catch doesn't have mushrooms growing out of its face. Oh, and be careful when you leave the roads. You never know when that deer you killed was some Delimgon's favorite pet. There's a skeleton sitting in a chair out on the coast, west of the fjord docks. No idea what it's doing there, but I'm always curious. Let's see. Water can be a problem out here. Don't drink from the rivers or creeks you find here, they're full of saka. Literally. You can get good water from inside most plants here, especially the larger vines. Or you can tap most of the trees for sap. I always put out some kind of cloth to collect the dew in the morning. That's assuming Kai doesn't take it and use it as a nose rag. Oh, there's another tip. Make sure the people you're traveling with aren't Nimdudes. I get a weird feeling when I get close to Lake Lacuna. Like there's something there that shouldn't be. Let's see. Right, so I wasn't completely honest before when I talked about avoiding river water and such. Water from the river or creeks, or whatever is, well, it's nasty. Drink that stuff and you'll be shooting soccer from both ends. So whatever water you take from the river, you have to boil. Take out all the leaves and bugs and such and leave it in a pot over the fire. I always carry a bundle of ditchberry bark too. Tastes terrible, but it keeps the water from making you sick. Trust me, you'll thank me later. I get a weird feeling when I get close to Lake Lacuna. I haven't dealt with Delimgon and blights and such all that much. They usually don't bother you unless you step too far off the trail. Of course, that's pretty much a given in your line of work, so we're all doing things we're not used to doing. Still, if you have a choice between upsetting the forest and not doing that, think about it. Maybe consider that the Forest and Emerald Stair are known to hold a grudge. Right, changing the subject. Thanks for talking.
You know, I've heard dueling is popular in the Valian republics. You wouldn't think a public argument could feel as brutal, but I'll be damned if Giada didn't draw blood.
What can I say? I do my best work under pressure.
Believe me, I meant that as a compliment.
Not to mention willfully obtuse.
Living landers can be contrarian and combative. That's what sends a lot of us here in the first place. But it's still hard to swim against the tide with your own people, especially when it means getting them to face a hard truth. You can't mount an attack if you're questioning every detail of the battle plan. But what if you see you're charging into a trap? That's what I admire about Giada. She knows who she is and what she believes. She's got more clarity and conviction than I had at her age.
She has more clarity than you have now.
Hey, I am a willing victim of my own delusions.
Sometimes that just makes it easier.
Hey, don't worry. We're talking about Giada's situation.
Right. Wait, what did you think I was talking about?
Anyway, this probably isn't how you wanted to start a new adventure, but we're glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Kai. The circumstances could be better, but it helps to be among friends.
Anytime. What's on your mind? And troubling. What was it she said? The Steel Garrote will ensure the safety of Adiran interests? They aren't going to make you any friends, that's for sure. Stay sharp. A storm's brewing. And better if we can find it before it finds us. Not a whole lot, and I've been happy keeping it that way. Playing around with essence, poking at souls, trying to move them out of and into places they shouldn't be, it makes me queasy. Though, if we're going to understand the Dream Scourge and your godlike lineage, I suppose we'll have to get comfortable with it. Still, I'm happy to leave those pursuits to other people.
Exactly. Other people. People who are a safe distance away. No offense.
You have your point of view, and I have mine.
Not the same way Adirans do. We've got no laws against it. I've just always felt more comfortable with things I can see and grasp for myself. Don't get me wrong, most animancers are nice enough people. But even nice people get strange ideas from time to time. It's been years. It was always green and overgrown, but I don't remember it being quite this. Exactly. Something about Emerald Stair has always been unsettling. Everything in the Living Lands grows wild, but it's different here. Those giant roots, whatever they are, I don't remember them being quite as big or close to the settlement. Well, there's a thought to keep me up at night.
Oh, the Living Lands definitely hates us. That's why people like me even get work.
I don't like reading that much into things. Maybe that's why I'm still a bachelor.
Is that what it is? That wasn't even on my list.
Either way, when I wake up with night terrors, I'm waking you both up with me. So did my commanding officers. He was my commander and thirdborn, but he was more than that too. A mentor, friend. Tama helped me out when I first came to the Living Lands over a decade ago. I was still figuring myself out.
Was. This is you, having figured yourself out.
Hey, now I know I can't stomach rusk snout milk. As for what we'll find, I don't know any more than you. All I know is he said it was his most prized possession, and seeing as he was on his deathbed at the time, I wasn't of a mind to ask. Hey, we all go back to the wheel, right? Where to start? The man couldn't carry a tune, but it didn't stop him from trying. He'd have the whole tavern singing shanties with him nearly every night of the week. He had a vexing habit of saying the thing you most needed to hear when you were least ready to hear it. He'd give you the shirt off his back and the meat off his plate. But the selfish bastard left the rest of us a world without him in it. Hey, you're not the one who did the leaving. That's why I've got to put this to rest. You're asking me? I'm not much of a gossip. Okay, who do you want to know about? She's got a lot of heart, and she's loyal to her people and their principles, even when it costs her. Giada's lost her home but kept her resolve. It takes a special kind of person to weather what she has and emerge stronger for it. She'll have a lot to figure out after all this, but she's gonna be okay. I don't. It's creepy, it's dangerous, and it's driven by more bad ideas than good ones. What's more, too many of the people behind it are more interested in seeing what they can do than wrestling with what they should do. But my reservations aren't going to put an end to it. And Giada, at least, is a voice of reason. She's young. She'll get there. Until then, there are certainly worse things to be driven by. Sure. What do you want to know? Nudge me if you hear anything in the woods.
I wish you could have seen Emerald's. Better times.
What was it?
The armored mask. We dream of steel and charred earth and flame. The memory binds. Flee from her. We fear. For us. For you. Blazing ire. It burns and feeds upon itself. Pain through the smoke, we recall. You are not safe with her. A false sheep, light drowning out the shadows lurking within. But the old scars do not lie. We burned once. Burned. We know. A storm from the same spark. All pain cuts with the same blade. Steer clear of the scourging fire, or extinguish it. Cull or tend, the bear's blood nourishes the earth. The flame spreads toward the garden wall. Listen, have care, have care.
Just move the machine.
There should be some equipment by the Adro pillar. Well, here we are on the precipice of discovery, armed and ready for mischief.
I'm 2 out of 3 anyway.
Before we get started, indulge me. What are you excited to learn about? We'll get to that and more, I promise. Now, I'm going to tap into the pillar's dormant energy and give it a good shake. In layman's terms, I'm chumming the water and daring the dream scourge to show its ugly face. Probably not, but that never stopped me before. All right. Drawing on the energy of the phantasmal focus, I'll start with a low-frequency ethereal vibration. I've got nothing. You?
Like I could go for some pie.
Shit. All right, adjusting the frequency. The focus is warming up. I hope that's a good sign. Let me know if you feel something. Who knows how your godlike nature will react to this. Brace yourself. We're going to pin this bastard down.
Are you sure about this?
Don't worry, I'm a professional. Now, here goes nothing.
Souls in a circle, a whirlpool. We twine, we twine.
Hey, I think I got something. The focus twitched, like a fishing rod. Is that a door? Not the result I was looking for, but a result nonetheless. Don't be so sure about that. Remember, I'm an animancer, not a locksmith. Right before the door opened, I detected something in the Adra. I was right. The Dream Scourge has a point of origin. We can study the affliction from here, but I don't know that we can stop it. My thoughts exactly. If we want to stop the Dream Scourge, we still need to learn more about the source of the affliction. I hate to say it, but we'll get better results at the base of the pillar, where the energies are more potent. Naturally. After you.
We gotta see what's down there now.
Gods! Did you open that door? I've been praying here for ages. And in all that time, I've never found a way down to the lower levels. Not one. You're going down there, aren't you? I tell the acolytes to walk softly for a reason. Something is alive down there. Or if not alive, moving. Whatever it is, it knows only the depths. If you don't return, I'll tell the others what happened.
I feel better about this already. I did not bring us here to explore. Clearly, something wants to be found.
Does this feel like the start of a cautionary campfire tale to anyone else?
I wonder. Incredible. These ruins are untouched. We are the first to disturb them. When was the last time anyone walked these passages? It must have been centuries. No, millennia. Sorry, I'm getting ahead.
And rock! And rock!
you got there? Some sort of puzzle piece? Your reputation is well deserved.
Seek!
No, the knife that pierces in the dark.
Whatever this is, at least it's dead. 2 points for the godless, none for the abomination.
Then raw! Then raw! Then raw! Worse than raw!
Watch your head. There's a trap right above it.
Worse than raw!
Another glorious battle.
I would not go swimming if I were you, unless you wish to meet your maker. There must be a way across. If not underwater, perhaps over it, with the help of some ice.
Worse than raw! Worse than raw! Then raw!
Never a dull moment with you in charge.
Looks like quite a party. Let's break it up. If there are any monsters left, show yourselves. Some of us have work to do. I guess that means the coast is clear. We've backed the Dream Scourge into a corner. I say we pin it down here and now, before it wriggles away from us. The last time we tried this, you felt something, yes? Maybe it had to do with your godlike nature. Try making contact with the Adra this time. It could only help. The effect should be stronger than before. Brace yourself.
You are here. You who bring us kind words and soothing thoughts, we welcome you. The mourners are gone now. Only the memories remain. We once belonged to the green and the wild. A people lived there once. They loved us as we loved them. They brought their dead to us. We used to dip our fingers, wade in the confluence of souls. We dream, the land stirs. We become. They brought their prayers to us. We answered. We do not remember how we grew. Our eyes opened. We were the earth, the sky, many into a whole. We touched the mountains and they molded to our fingerprints. The Akita twined around us. They sang in awe of what we made. They called us the gardener, steward of life. Sapadal. Our spark found you when you dreamed in the womb. Godlike, they said. But we have felt in you the seed of connection. We have sought you, called to you. And you reach back. We have not known the joy of companionship in so long. Rod, we feel it too. Our hands are bound. Find us, free us. The rot that festers seeps into us as well. Our cage is far from here, buried in the garden, beyond the poison sea. Your words are comfort indeed. Go to the halls of the Tabaru Sinakis. We will try to explain. Those who cherish us, the chosen of the Akita, wait there. They will show you the way to the garden, to our prison. We will cleanse this rot with you once our hands are unbound. Find us in the garden. We twine, we await. First, let us offer you a sliver of our power, a boon to help you survive and find us. Will you accept it? We offer you gifts any would covet, and you search them for rot? You are our kin, the seed of our soul. We would see you avoid our fate. We would see you survive. Take it with our blessing. Now hurry to the halls of the Tabaru Sinakis. Bind us. Free us.
You're awake. Finally. We really pushed the phantasmal focus to its limits.
You were out a long time. We gotta start bringing pillows.
For a second there, I thought... Actually, never mind what I thought. Actually, I thought your soul had been blasted to 1,000 pieces. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. While you were out, I got some clear readings of the Dream Scourge. I've tracked its origin to the center of the living lands, somewhere deep in the untouched wilderness. You've heard of it? Fascinating. Maybe someone knows about this garden of yours. If we find the garden, we can cut off the Dream Scourge at its source. I hesitate to bring it up, but you were muttering while you were out. Had quite a lot to say. Whatever you were communing with, it had a spiritual energy I've encountered before, though only in traces. It must be connected to the Dream Scourge. Perhaps they share a similar origin. Yes, Sapadal. Who are they? What are they to you? I'm sorry? Sapadal is a god? But that's impossible. How could we have missed this? You never heard them before? Not even in your childhood? Only when you arrived on these shores? A trapped god. Trapped. And you spoke to them through the Adra. Maybe that tells us something. Not the Adra itself, but how it comes together. We've long theorized that all Adra is connected, but that changed when Animancers came to the Living Lands. The Adra here is severed from the rest of Eora, connected only to itself, or so we believe. If Sapadal speaks and works through Adra, then the Living Lands is their prison, their tomb. Now that is a tall order. We know the Dream Scourge is coming from this garden of yours. Maybe Sapadal can help us fight it. Indeed. That will be for you to judge. The real question is, where do I start? Doesn't ring a bell, but maybe someone's heard of it before. We'll find the source of the Dream Scourge in the garden, but we have to find the garden first.
Then that's where we start.
Let's return to Fior Messiverno. Banished or not, maybe I can squeeze a few answers out of my colleagues. Gods, I don't know. The farms, the community, my research, they all depend on animancy. But the Dream Scourge is the end of animancy, the end of the Living Lands as we know it. We should leave this place and its memories. There's nothing more for us here.
Finding a secret entrance and discovering a new god. Not bad for a day's work.
Stop! The trees splinter, the rice turns black. The pain! The pain! They trample the farmlands, they tear down the gates.
I lost you for a second there. Something the matter? Oh no. Let's go. You take the lead.
Come on, there's a way up those stairs.
Seek!